This is the Florida Maquis Roundtable. If you are here, you are at the $20 level, and you represent the very elite of those who have come to the Florida Maquis and decided to engage in training. Information warfare. It's one of the most important things to have in your arsenal going out into the normal world these days. If you are not understanding the assault that happens on your senses every day, you will be basically a sheep. And if you're here at this roundtable, you understand very clearly the importance of being armed. Now, we're going to discuss a very complicated subject today. And it's taken me a while to even come to the conclusion that we need to talk about it. But I don't think we're going to have any way around it. It's called the availability heuristic. And this concept in psychological operations, most people will miss. In America, we have a very narcissistic view of the world, that everything that happens in the world, in one way or the other, is tied to our country, our views, our opinions, our beliefs, and we pull everything in through that lens. When we become a slave to this, we become very, very vulnerable to overvaluing our opinion on things and overvaluing our thought possession of things. It's tied to something else called the endowment effect. And if folks don't know what that is, it's this effect that is observed in people when they own something and they have it. They overvalue the value they ascribe to it if someone else had it, the exact same thing, and they didn't. And this is the best example I could find to make it easy. You have something and you think it's worth A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and of course it's always worth more to you than it is to anyone else. Because if you didn't have it and someone else did, you wouldn't pay what you think it's worth now. I think most of you can grasp that concept. If you see a car, for example, that is for sale in someone's front yard, let's say for $5,000, and then you go to Kelley Blue Book and you look and it's like, oh, okay, $5,000, that's pretty close. What a lot of people miss is this. If the person really thought the car was worth $5,000, he would be asking $8,000 for it. Because to that person, they would rather have the $5,000 in cash than have the car. Meaning that to them, $5,000 is worth more than the car is to them. Now, how does this apply to psychological operations? It goes to the thoughts and perceptions that we already have, the belief systems that we already have, versus the ones that are available to us. And that's where we come back to here. The availability heuristic. Meaning we don't even understand, a lot of times, based on the things that are available to us information-wise, the value of all things. We're seeing this a lot. Recently, I've been trying to, in my YouTube videos, show people the difference in the definition of one word, socialism, and I'm seeing the pushback that still the definition given to them, the one singular definition given to them by right-wing radio and right-wing TV, has so clouded their ability to understand that it's a generalized term that means many different things around the world to different people. Because their thought, their impression, and their belief of the definition of the word, because of the endowment effect, means more to them than any new definition would. And this is also a function of culture as well. So when we apply this in psychological operations. Let's just look at CNN and Fox for a minute, covering the same story. Okay, Melania Trump makes a surprise visit to the border. And as we see here, it's just a picture of Melania standing around other people and talking with people. Now let's look at Fox. First Lady makes a surprise trip to Texas, tours child detention center amid family separation controversy. Now here, this is they select these pictures very, very carefully. And they do so in order to create an impression of something without anybody even bothering having to read. And this is kind of a sidebar, a lot of creators don't understand that 95% of the traffic that comes to their channel on YouTube, 95% of it has to simply do with the thumbnail. 3% of it has to do with the title under the thumbnail. 2% has to do with who the channel is, and the actual content means nothing. Believe it or not. That is exactly how it works. How people use the visual versus anything else, especially with the internet, is so critical. So when we flip through these two right next to each other, what do we notice? Well, first of all, the size of the picture, of course, and the background. Here they have a dark background. Here I don't think that this was any coincidence here that they chose this picture with this person with this look. It's all about impression. So when you're attempting to conduct a psychological operation and you have access to the people's visuals, access to their, and of course the page is going to change. Oh, it's the same one. Great. You have to understand that first moment in time, they are going to, when you encounter them, they are going to have a heuristic, see if I can say this properly. The availability heuristic for them is going to probably make anything new, any new information, very hard to grasp. And the confirmation bias, along with the endowment effect, is going to make information they already have much more valuable. So the group of people looking at Fox will see this as, see, we really do care about people. And the people that already have one opinion about the Trumps this way will see this as, yeah, I see. Okay, so now they're backtracking, they're retreating, and it's simply political, and there is no real care for the people down there. Both of these sites preach to their choirs. They don't introduce new information. They don't do anything to upset the apple cart, so to speak. So this is, let's see if I can pull that back up. I had the right picture. Here you go. This cartoon pretty much sums it up. That people who are on one side or the other, whether they're on the left or the right, when they decide they want to go find the quote-unquote truth for themselves, fail to see their own confirmation bias, fail to see the fact that the information that they're looking at is limited in and of itself, and the fact that they're evaluating mental information and mental opinion simply because it's theirs. We all do this. So if you introduce new information to somebody, if you introduce a new topic or a new subject to somebody, right off the bat, always expect pushback. Don't react to it. Don't attempt to justify it or explain it or do anything to push, because the harder you push, the more inflamed the endowment effect will become, the more inflamed the confirmation bias will become in the person. All you need to do is introduce the information. Places like Fox, places like CNN, places, the right-wing talk radio, they have had years and years to be working on people. And anytime most folks, and this applies both to the right and left, believe for 1 minute that something in their mind is making them think that their inherent bias is something that they might need to question, all sorts of alarm bells go off. And they feel like they're not even being true to themselves, so to speak. Folks who are at level 3 in Maslow sometimes always believe they're at level 5 when they haven't learned to. And this applies to everyone. I mean, and it's different in different areas of your life. So I guess today's video, and I know it seems like it's rambled, and it's a complicated topic to try to do in 10 to 12 minutes, that we need to understand and to search outside of our boundaries to understand the entire amount of information we have available to us versus that which we think we know. So we will leave it there. Thank you guys very, very much. We will continue to do training. I would recommend everyone go through all of the videos and pull out things that are important to you, important to your environment, especially in your businesses, that you think can help develop either your employee staff or your ability to reach your target audience. Because there'll be little pieces everywhere. And in next week's video, we're going to be talking a lot about gleaning and how to pull out the important things that are important to you. So anyway, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. We will see you next week.